So every week when I meet with my CEO, he asks me the same question at the end of every session. It's like, what keeps you awake at night? Because if it keeps you awake, it's going to trouble me. I give him the same answer every week, and it's cybersecurity. And the other week he goes to me, he's like, are you ever going to give me a different answer? And I looked at him and I said, like, probably not. It is the number one concern that I have. It's the number one thing that can kill businesses, it can kill infrastructure, it can kill countries. There's been an inordinate number of stories recently about wire frauds committed within banks, etc. So it is an area of significant focus. I start my day in a very similar way, very early in the morning. I get to the office at like 6:10, 6:15. I wake up the nighttime security guard that's asleep, and I'm pretty sure he hates me for it. I get to my machine, I log in, and I log into one of the first things. I log into a bunch of different tools. One of the first ones I log into is my scene to look at the security events, things that are happening overnight. That's in there. And I've noticed something that's happened over the last year and a half, 2 years. Whereas I was dealing with 3,000, 4,000 events on a daily basis, now I'm dealing with 10,000, 20,000 identified items from the various logging, monitoring tools that we've got. I'm like, that's awesome, but how do we actually start to focus on what do I need to look at? I've got 20,000 things that could be an issue, could not be an issue. How do I determine, okay, where do I need to devote my time, limited resources, etc., to focus on that? So my hypothesis, and I think it's germane to the topic for today, is that AI and machine learning is absolutely the future to be able to process this volume of data. The machines will always do it faster. They're experts at data aggregation. They're experts at pattern matching. They will do it far quicker than my team of analysts will ever be able to do it. So, it's an area of a great deal of focus, and it's something that I spend a lot of time on. I'm really excited to hear from some of the vendors about some of the things that they're working on in terms of how we can get that symbiotic relationship between man and machine to work really well. Quick story, most of you remember Gary Kasparov, 1997, I think it was. He got beaten by Deep Blue, that's in there. A few years ago, there was another competition ran similarly that was won by 2 amateur guys and 3 desktop PCs. I think they were Dell DX 380s or something, like very basic desktop machines. They beat supercomputers, they beat chess grandmasters. How did they do it? The short version of the story is it was that union between the human player and the machine doing the number crunching and focusing them in certain areas that allowed them to win. So they beat people that had come in with like $1 million supercomputers, $2 million supercomputers. Again, it's that relationship between the people and the machine that allows them to be successful. One of the other areas that is really important to me, and I think my previous employer, JP Chase, we did a lot of work on, was secure from the start. Making sure that everything we do, I build a lot of software, I deploy a lot of software, I change a lot of software, I change the environment on a regular basis, but doing it securely from the start. So one of the first things we did at IDB when I came on board is we built a sec DevOps model. Now there's a reason why I say sec first, because it's not an afterthought, it's not something that's bolted on at the end, it's not something that comes in mid-project, it's in there. It is integral from the start. Everything we do, like how does this impact the customer? How do we protect the customer's data? How do we make sure that we meet our regulatory compliance? So it's at the front. That's why I call it a sec DevOps model that's in there. And we have all the tools and the bells and the whistles that will allow us to do automated deployments to production and automated environment scans, etc. But the biggest change was in the culture of the people. So we invested in our people and we trained our people that's in there so that everyone understands, not just in technology, in the entirety of the firm, that security is everyone's responsibility. It's from the people at the front desk, to the people that clean the offices, to the executive admins, to the CEO, to my peers that I sit around the table with for 5 hours every Thursday for our senior management meeting. It's everyone's responsibility. So building that model, practicing that model, has affected what I'm most pleased about, which I think is a cultural change to get people to really understand how serious this is and the part that they have to play within it. All the best tools in the world, all the best software in the world, all the best AI and ML capabilities in the world can be completely undone by one individual human. And that's my nightmare scenario, and that's every week where I tell my CEO that cyber is always going to be at the very top of my list. And by the way, you want it to be at the top of my list, because one event, and it will happen, I'm fairly sure, will be enough to take down a bank and actually put a bank completely out of the banking business. Banking is a trust-based industry. If you think about it, you guys all have banks in there, you put your money in. What would happen if your bank lost your money? Are you likely to continue to bank with them, or are you likely to move your assets elsewhere? So, with that in mind, I think I'm at my time limit, so thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.